Good afternoon, everyone. Happy Wednesday, Tim.
Happy Wednesday, Pat. What's happening?
Um, Nothing, man. We had to take last week off. We're running out of stuff to talk about because this is our 15th episode, number 15. It's another milestone.
No, listen. We have not stopped. We have plenty of things to talk about. It was the end of the month, beginning of the month. No, yeah, we had nothing.
Yeah, they coincide usually. One happens
We wanted
before
to
the
give
other.
everybody a break.
Yeah, that's more like it. Go to the next slide. This one is a special one for us.
Sorry.
Number 15. It just so happens that this year is also my 15-year wedding anniversary, so this is a special one to me. This one's called the Mailbag. So, Tim, why don't you tell everybody what the Mailbag means?
Yeah, so 14 episodes in the bag, in the can. We've had lots of people ask us questions here and there during and after the show. So we took some of those questions, all the tens of hundreds of questions, and we boiled it down to the top 5. So
yeah,
okay,
and no favoritism here. So, but
no favoritism.
What we thought
randomly drawn from customers out in the field. Right?
Somewhat randomly, stuff that we haven't really discussed, but good little tips and tricks that people have asked us over the last 14 episodes that we could help them. So we're hoping that it helps you. So back to you, Tim.
All right, here we go. Question number 1. This comes from Calvin in Chicago, Illinois. He says, I'm part of a 5-store group that uses Max Digital Showroom with a centralized BDC. Is there a way to see all the group's inventory in one digital showroom? I know for a fact that I've done this setup for at least 3 different groups. You know what we're talking about?
Oh yeah, I have many groups as well that we do this for, which is it's a great thing, because that way your BDC reps don't have to go searching for cars in 5 different locations. And this works for as many stores as you have, whether you have 2 stores or you have 200 stores. We can do this for you.
Yeah. So in this case, I set one up for the Concord Auto Mall in Charlotte. That's a suburb of Charlotte.
How many stores are in the Auto Mall?
I think there's 5. There might be 6 stores in this if they have a remote one. So 6 stores. And if you're a salesperson, I'm at one of those 5, and they're all right there, within walking distance of each other. Right? You pop in, and now you have the view on the banner up top here is a little bit different. Now you can see now we've got 515 cars, and if we wanted to view this Charger, right, we'll click in, and here's where right, which store it's from is Hendrick Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram Fiat of Concord. Boom.
So if you go back a page, I think a real live use scenario in this would be, I'm the customer, I call you up and I say, hey, I'm interested in a Dodge Charger. Instead of just going directly to the Dodge store, you might have some used inventory at the Honda store that meets my criteria.
Correct. So
this is a good way to kind of open up your lots, especially if you can cross sell between the lots, or if you're a owner or a platform manager, you don't necessarily care what store sells it. You just want the car sold.
Right.
So it puts the customer on the right car at the right dealership. So it's a great tool.
It gives you that perception that you have way more cars, and I think leveraging the size of the inventory across multiple stores inside a group, it's the way to go. You want selection is something customers tell us all the time that they want.
100%. Well, good one. Right. Thanks, Calvin from Chicago, for that one. That was a
good question.
Good one.
All right, question number 2. This comes from Ken from Florida. Good old Ken. Can you help me identify good cars for my inventory that we appraised but did not close? This is one of your favorites. I know.
It is. This is an oldie but a goodie. So if you go to your first look homepage, right under where you go to appraise a car, a lot of people overlook this, but Make a Deal. Make a Deal is a great tool. What it does is, think of it as a little manager inside the box. You can set some parameters and tell the system when you don't trade for it, when you do a trade-in but you don't take it into inventory, does it match a set of criteria that I'm looking for? So that might be, it's a green light car for me, so it's core inventory. It's a core inventory piece at a sister store. So, I might want to get a buy bid for my sister store. I appraised it, way back a book, so you can set your book thresholds. There's about 10 or 12 different ways that you can set this to have us look for it. And we both have stores, Tim, that when they use this consistently on a daily basis, I know one of our Hendrick locations, they pick up, anywhere between 25 and 30 additional deals a month just from managing those missed appraisals. So think of this as somebody came in, they gave you their car keys, you test drove their car, you appraised it, and they left in their own car versus one of yours. Time is, super important with this. So what can we do right away to look for some data and look for some of those missed cars?
And all I'm hearing is inventory prices of used cars at the auction are through the roof. They're bringing retail. You should be doing everything in your power to close every trade. And here's another way to close, help you close more trades. So
that was a good one.
All right.
So who was that? Ken in Florida?
Ken in Florida. All right. Next one. All right. Brian in Denver, Colorado. Remember Brian?
Nice spot. Nice spot.
Good guy. How can the system help me identify units that will best fit my credit challenged customers? So Brian works at a store, I think, that probably has some secondary customers.
Yeah. Another legacy report, but a very,
Where would you
very.
send somebody if they ask that question?
I would send them to the bottom of the page.
Okay.
And loan value, book value calculator, or LVBC for short.
Yep.
So why don't you explain?
So yeah,
what
so
they
this
can do here.
tool takes your everything in your used car inventory. The thing I like about this, it takes everything that's in the system. So if you're sending in wholesale cars, because we all know sometimes wholesale cars, they might work for you as well, just based on the book, the call from the bank. So a very popular call these days is NADA clean trade. So we're going to carry 120%. You run that, we'll give you that multiplier, and then you can sort by every one of these columns. But we'll look at this, 2017 LX 570, 44,000 miles, currently priced at 63.8. Okay, it's got a cost of 55.7. Straight up NADA trade-in is 54.7. 120% is at 65.6. That gives you $9,800 worth of room to put out to that customer. So if you've got some negative equity, and I just read the average
Most
loan
clients,
in the first quarter was carrying $5,700 worth of negative equity, you're going to need this tool.
Sure. And over this COVID period, I just read right before our call, the average down payment was about $1,200. So this isn't just for credit challenged customers to put them on the right car. It's also for those, like Tim said, those people that might be buried and you got to hide some of that negative equity to find the right car for them. It's a quick and easy way to do that. Before this, and the nice thing, the other thing, Tim, you can save this. So if you have a call, 120 NADA clean trade-in is like what your bank does. You can save this search, and then on the right hand side right there, you can see the ones that you saved. And you just click on it and it automatically does it. So you don't have to redo it every single time. It's real user friendly. So who was that? Okay. That was Brian in Colorado.
Brian in Colorado.
Denver, Colorado. That's a good spot.
Yeah. All right. Next question. Mark from Detroit. Remember Mark? He's doing all right.
Old Detroit, Michigan.
Where in the system can I see my fastest and most profitable units sold? Yeah, so I get this question asked. They're looking at their stock inventory, and this is typically the first question. There's systems out there that'll tell you to go stock cars based on the market. Well, hey, I want to stock cars that I sell fast and I sell for a lot of money. What cars are those? And I think this is like the first place to go look, right?
Yeah, we show that in a lot of different reports, but for this particular question, if you go to reports, then inventory manager, what that Tim's hovering over, this is the quickest way to get that data. So not only will it give you your most profitable and fastest sellers, but then your top sellers too. So right now, I just got a text from a dealer friend of mine. They're blowing through cars. 80% of his inventory is under 30 days old right now because the turn rates are just so high. So if we're going to be looking for things to stock on our lot and cars are selling right now, let's stock the right things that turn fast and make us money. Let's take advantage of this, while we can, just in case, these
Yeah.
record months that people are having doesn't keep going.
Yeah, and look, I mean, no surprise when we're looking at a Lexus store. I mean, top sellers based on for volume are mostly Lexus. Their most profitable are Lexus. Their fastest sellers.
But
There's
look
a
at it,
couple
it's a
of
Toyota Sequoia.
non-core sprinkled in there.
Yeah.
But
the other thing that I like about this report, Tim, while we're on it, if you hit percentage mode, I always show dealers this because it gives you a good idea of the dollars in inventory that you have invested in, those that metal on the lot. Does that equate to what return on investment that vehicle actually brings for you? So the closer that you can get those values, that you're stocked right. So if
you're going deep in the
old real deep, man,
product development. Man.
So if you have 25, 27% of your inventory tied up in a particular make model, but it only brings you 12% of your profit, what are we doing? It's another way of looking at over and under stocking and getting that right mix on your lot that can really be beneficial to you and your dealership.
Good question from Mark. See, we pulled the best questions out of the hundreds that we've gotten. So, all right, let's bring it back.
I like it too, Tim, because it's a lot of old school stuff. We're both old school guys.
All right, last question. This comes from Keith in Arlington Heights, Illinois.
That's right down the road from where I used to live, Tim.
What's that? You used to live out there?
That was 2 towns away from Glenview, Illinois. Yep.
Is there a way to see a trade breakdown of a breakdown of all my trades and purchases and inventory? I actually had a phone call on this too, about this. Like, hey man, how do I know what cars I've taken in versus trade versus purchase? So there's a lot of different ways to sort trades and purchases in the inventory, but I think that to answer this question, you go to the reports tab, and there's right here, trades and purchases report. Boom. Okay, so this will give you a breakdown of, you'll see the 2 tabs here, all your trades. We could select the date range, the range we want, and when did we receive the car, so we get all that information from the DMS. When it was analyzed. Hey, if there's no analyzed date, you know what that means?
They didn't put it in the trade
appraisal. Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
So how much was that? So they didn't do an appraisal on a $23,000. Is that $23,000 car
with 109,000 miles?
So that's a lot of money. I could see maybe not putting in an appraisal on a $500,000 car. A nickel or dime car it's just that. But when you're blindly just shooting at the hip at a $23,000, you can make a big mistake on that, especially right now where values they're all over the place. They're high. So.
Yeah. And then obviously here's the purchase report. Looks like they don't have too many purchases in here lately, but the receive date, unit cost, the mileage, and then the risk, and then first when it was received by. So good information, trade and purchase report. All right. That is I think that's it for the mailbag.
I got one question for you, Tim. I'm going to throw a curveball at you here because we got a couple minutes. What are you hearing out there from our dealer friends? I know people are selling cars. I mean, what's your take on last month and the start to this month?
So I asked that question in the Facebook group on Monday, halfway through. And what I'm hearing is inventory's tight. Mm-hmm. Traffic and sales are really, really good. Mm-hmm. And the guys wish they had more cars to sell, both new and used. Grosses are pretty good, not great. And sales rates, I think, are back to, they're on pace to, a lot of guys hit record volume months.
Yeah.
Last month, what was that, in May, but the grosses weren't very good. I think we saw a hit in the retail market.
Yeah.
I think the inventory that you replaced. So I think June will be really good as well. So I mean, does that match what you're hearing?
Yeah, and the auctions too. You said this earlier in the episode. Cars are doing the moon at the auction right now. So how long can that sustain? That's a question. Who knows? But there's still a lot of inventory out there that needs to work its way through. You've seen some of our perfect storm reports that we've gone through. 560,000 not rental units, off lease units were pushed to the second half of the year by the banks. So there's a lot of inventory that's still coming. So,
Yeah, and there,
sell.
there's a lot of inventory going through the auctions, and that's where we see a lot of the data points from NADA, Black Book, and even Cox Automotive. But I mean, there are dealers out there buying cars that are not going through the auction directly from Hertz, Davis, Enterprise. There's probably backlot deals going on, from fleet companies. So, I think there's creative ways to acquire inventory. And in fact, I will be talking about that tomorrow at 1 o'clock. Yeah, 1 o'clock with Mike Kavanaugh. So driving the sales team. We'll talk about innovative ways to acquire inventory. But it's interesting times, man. And look, you and I are doing a video podcast talking about, I don't know what the deal is.
In our offices. That's awesome. Offices.
So,
well,
in my underwear. No, it's fine. I have shorts on today, I promise.
And if we update our perfect storm report every Friday now with real-time data. So if you're not utilizing that, reach out to us. We can send you a link to that. And Tim, I'll say this: sell them. Why, Tim?
Sell them all because you can always buy more.
That's true. Thanks everyone for joining. Have a great day, and
we'll see you next week. We'll be back.
We'll see you next week. We're gonna do this again next week. Thanks, guys.